All right. Hey, everyone. Just going to send this out to you all so that you can watch our live stream. All right. So, some of you might not know me. My name is Alana, and I'm one of the co-founders of Growing Minds Chess Academy. We started the organization about 7 years ago, and myself, I'm a chess player, and I've been playing for about 30 years, and it's a big pride and joy for me. So, looking at the different games, different sections here. So it looks like this is the novice or the Swiss section here. Looks like on board 2, looks like White was able to do the Scholar's checkmate to Black. So yeah, for Black, please make sure you pay attention to what White is doing so that you can stop these kinds of threats. So Scholar's Mate is something that's used at the early tournament level. And for White, just be mindful that the 4-move checkmate or the Scholar's Mate won't work as much as you move to the higher level. So just be mindful of that. All right, so it looks like on board 1 here, like Aiden is down some material, but he's hanging in there. So time will tell what happens in this game. All right, let's move to Future Masters. All right, we got 3 games still in progress. So we have Abbott and Jordy locked in a battle. Jordy has 6 pawns, Abbott has 3, and that's the difference in the game right now. But still, I'm not sure. I think maybe Abbott had a better move, but time will tell. And we have, big battle between Connor Wang and Hunter Ku. I know that these two have played a lot, and they've had some nice battles. So let's see what happens in this game. Looks like both sides have their pieces developed, and I'm really curious to see what happens. And then on board 3, Black's king doesn't look so safe, but I think they're okay. Yeah, White's king doesn't look so safe either. So one thing I would definitely stress to chess players, especially young chess players, is king safety. The attack can wait. You shouldn't be in a rush to do an attack at the expense of your king's safety. So that's one lesson that I definitely always tell my students. King safety is key. All right, let's see how reserve. Looks like reserve just started. Got a battle between Highland and August on board 1. Looks like there was a kind of, it's like a Queen's Gambit. Might have been played on board 1, but it's too early in the game to tell. We have on board 2. Yeah, it looks like these games are, just getting started. So we'll check back in a few moments. Let's see. Yeah, definitely have some really nice battles going on here. Let's see how primary is doing. All right. All right, looks like Mika and Carlos have a good game going. Looks like Carlos has a queen and rook, and Mika has a queen, 2 minor pieces, or sorry, 3 minor pieces. So there is a material imbalance here. So a lot of folks, they always ask me, what's better, a rook and a pawn or two minor pieces? And I would say it really depends on the position, truthfully. So sometimes the rook and the pawn will be in a much better spot than the other pieces. And they're the ones that are, really in charge of the game. I once had a game where I was up a pawn, had the rook versus a knight and a bishop, and I was able to win the game. So definitely an interesting material imbalance. So I wonder, so it looks like Carlos has been thinking for a while. All right, so he's attacking the knight. Wonder what his plan is. If I had to guess, probably thought that knight was pretty annoying. But what I always tell my students is piece activity. You want your pieces to be as active as possible. I'm curious to see what happens in this game. If Mika is able to convert her advantage, but it starts with activity. You want your pieces to be active. All right, see if we made progress in reserve. All right, I'm very happy to see that no games have been concluded since. So very good sign. All right. Let's see. Good. Looks like nobody's in an endgame yet. But there has been an exchange of queens on board 4. So I wonder, how much time are these players taking? It looks like white just lost a pawn. But it looks like white is up some material. But I think you guys need to slow down. There's no reason for you to be in such a hurry. Again, you have all this extra time. That extra time won't help you if you're down or if you're in a losing position. So slow down. I mean, I'm not saying like play like you're in molasses or anything, but you want to slow down. All right. Let's see. It's nice to see some familiar faces. A lot of these players have competed in our tournaments before. So it's great to have everyone on board. And we see some new faces as well, or well, not faces, new names. I'm glad to see nobody is resigning. Everyone's hanging in there. So it's very impressive. All right, let's see if there's been any. All right. Board 3, the Battle of the Unsafe Kings. But I think, maybe Black's king might be in better shape than White's. I'd be very worried with my king on G1. It'd be very daunting to have a position like this. All right, looks like board 1 between Abbott and Jordy. This is actually a very interesting position. There's some tricks here. I think yeah, Abbott needs to be careful in this position. Yeah, now he loses here. Yeah, I think he should have taken the other pawn. You gotta slow down. I think maybe there were some chances here. Unlikely, but yeah, I think maybe if you'd taken the other pawn, you would have had, better chances. Maybe you would have that passed pawn. You gotta slow down. The endgame is not the place for you to play fast. And now, yeah, Jordy should have a nice clean win here. All right, see what's going on between Hunter and Connor. Yeah, it looks like Connor made a move that prevented the knight from going towards the queen. Yeah, this looks like a slow and methodical game. I know Connor is known for taking his time. All right, with some good sportsmanship from Connor. He was wishing everyone luck. Um, yeah, so I'm glad that, again, Hunter has a chance to catch his breath. I know his first game went pretty fast. So that's the thing. If your opponent is playing fast, that doesn't mean that you have to play fast because you're putting yourself at the same disadvantage they're at. That's why I always tell my students play slow, play methodically. You have 40 minutes for the whole game. So you want to take your time. All right. Yeah, on board 3, White's king cannot be happy. Definitely not a comfortable position. And I wonder if Jesse could figure out how to use those bishops. Uh-huh. So Anna just went queen d1 and yeah, is offering a queen trade. And I think it's pretty much forced. If Jesse takes the pawn, then he's leaving his bishop unprotected. And now here's going to be a battle of the endgame. So it looks like Anna has more pawns, but one of them is a double pawn. So I'm curious to see what'll happen in this game. Yeah, those bishops of Jesse's are very strong. Curious to see if he's able to use them. All right, we'll come back. All right. Let's look at my friends in, I think the Swiss they started. Oh, yeah, looks like they need to be started. All right. Back here, we'll let the Swiss started. All right, looks like all the games in primary have finished. So they should be getting started soon. All right, so now we're back in reserve, and 3 games have finished since we last left here. So I wonder what happened. All right, looks like, yeah, I'm not sure what happened between Omri and Liam. Yeah, looks like on boards 5 and 8, similar situation with the king being weak. So yeah, you want to make sure, and you want to, I want to stress king safety. And that's often, one of the biggest issues that scholastic players, find themselves in is, they want to attack, but they attack prematurely, and it results in their king being vulnerable, and that's actually their undoing. So a lot of the, famous chess players like Magnus Carlsen, Vishy Anand, they're very slow and methodical. They're not in a hurry to, bring out all their pieces and just attack, 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 attack. I remember I used to, when I played, in tournaments, in scholastic tournaments, I would win so many games because I just let my opponents self-destruct. And it was actually pretty awesome. So sometimes your opponent, and I see this especially with lower rated players, they just kind of self-destruct. So just sit here for a moment. All right. So let's see. Yeah, I like Mateo's position here against Zachary. How his pieces are active. They seem to all be, pointing at the king. I wonder if he's able to use that to his advantage. All right. So board 10 is already done. Board 9. Interesting game. I think this is a, rematch of last week. Both of these players were on board 1, playing for first, and now they get their rematch. Sure. Queen trade is interesting. So he's offering a trade of queens. So normally, if you're the one that's getting attacked, you want to trade off pieces because that makes the defense even stronger and it makes the attack even weaker. All right. Let's see. Yeah, if I don't go to these games, I might miss them all. Yeah, these guys play really fast. All right, looks like we got a good game on board number 2. Looks like both players are playing slow, using their time, developing their pieces. Not sure what's going on board 3. I would definitely recommend to both players. They should castle their kings early in the game. Looks like neither side castled. So these are our, newest players to competitive chess. So they, they have a lot to learn about chess, and it's really great to have them playing today. All right. The old en passant trick. So yeah, I would, recommend both players try to make your pieces as active as possible. All right, board 1 between Caden and Antonio. Looks like, both sides, are developing their pieces. It's like Antonio is trying to storm the chessboard with his queen. I think he used the Scholar's Mate in the first round. So one thing that, is a drawback of moving your queen out early is that it's a huge target for the enemy pieces. So it's kind of like, the queen is walking around with a huge bullseye on her. So you need to be mindful of that. So Antonio just went queen takes, pawn, and queen takes g2. And this is known as, or some people call it, the pawn of doom, because it looks like it's a free pawn, but there's a lot of uncomfortable moves, or good moves that white can make to make the queen feel very uncomfortable. So let's see if Caden is able to, so he moved the rook, but I think, what normally people do in this situation is they go rook g1, and the knight is actually protecting the rook. So since the knight is protecting the rook, the queen would be forced to move, and she really doesn't have a lot of squares to move. So I've seen many a queen get trapped in these situations. Okay, looks like things are clearing up on board 2 between Anderson and Audrey. All right, we'll come back to you. But I like that, it looks like Anderson is taking his time, Caden's taking his time. Both players on board 3 want to take our time. All right. See how reserve is looking? All right. Looks like, all right, Highland and August are in a very interesting endgame. Looks like this endgame is definitely favoring, it's definitely favoring Highland here, but he still has to play correctly. He still has to play accurately. So I'm curious. See, I would have gone king up. Yeah, I definitely think maybe king up was the way to go. So now this is a very critical moment here. Yeah, I like king up because it kind of puts black in a zugzwang. Now I kind of feel like maybe black is off the hook a little bit. And I'm curious to see what August comes up with. Because there's one move I'm thinking about. All right, looks like board 2. Cohen defeated Gideon. Looks like it was a good game there. Then on board 3, we have Arush versus Sean. And yeah, we wanted to welcome Sean back to chess. So it looks like Sean hasn't played a USCF tournament in about 6 years. So we're glad that you chose our tournament to make your return to chess. So welcome back. And it looks like queen and rook versus queen and rook. I'm curious to see how this plays out. And yeah, that was the move I was thinking for August. And now it looks like, not sure if much progress can be made here. I think if Highland had gone, king g3 earlier, it would have prevented, or g6, sorry, it would have prevented him from moving there. But I guess, Highland did have that extra move in reserve, that pawn push. And now August may be in zugzwang. Ah, the old knight's opposition. All right. So it looks like in Zachary and Mateo, looks like Mateo is offering a queen trade. So I wonder, maybe he's trying to, all right, he accepted the queen trade. So now I think Mateo is thinking, which pawn would be better to recapture with? Does he want to recapture with, the F or the H pawn? I know which pawn I'd rather, recapture with. But I think either way, he was getting tired of that knight on H5, so he wanted that knight to say goodnight and leave the board, or at least that square. All right, let's see here. On board 9, it's a very interesting position. Yeah, wow. Benjamin's bishop is not looking good here. So McCallan has done a really nice job of, sealing in the bishop. Yeah, so normally in these kinds of positions, a lot of people think, you want to put your pawns on the same color as your bishop, but that's actually not the best idea. And the reason for that is, wait, I don't understand. Oh, they played too fast. Now looks like McCallan is just up a piece. All right, guys, slow down, slow down. You guys are moving at lightning speeds. Yeah, I think McCallan might get his revenge for last week. He's up a clear knight. So barring anything major, looks like, black should be in a very comfortable position here. Yeah, looks like on board 1, Highland is going to pick off those pawns. That's tough. Looks like Mateo was able to get rid of that knight. Not sure how he lost his piece, though. We'll definitely have to take a look at that later on. We're going to switch sections. We're going to look at Future Masters. All right, looks like we have 2 games already done. Oh, what happened here? I thought, Jesse had interesting position here. So let me take a look, see what happened. Looks like London. Takes. Yeah, here, I mean, this battery right here, this is a major point. Even if you take the knight, they have that in-between move of taking with check. So you need to be careful of things like this. All right, yeah, now they, well, here. Yeah. Or maybe even trading queens in this position. Because I'm not a big fan of this right here. All right, so queen b6. Yeah, of course. Take a free pawn with check. Over. All right, h4. All right, now he's trying to trade queens. What I would do, maybe try to go here and do something like bishop b5. Activate your pieces, get your rooks in the game. I mean, this king right here on f1 is not very safe. So let's see. Yeah, those bishops are powerful. Yeah, get your rooks in the game. All right. Does this work? I don't know, this is very interesting. Maybe this would have been a little bit better because now you're also threatening this. I mean, I'm not worried about the pin. I can just move here. All right, see what happened? No, yeah, you can't take that pawn. Yeah, you gotta go here, Jesse. I mean, if they try, I don't know, maybe they try this. Go here. I'm not really worried about this. And I don't see a way that, I mean, it's not comfortable, but I don't see a way they can really make much progress. I think black can hold the position here. But yeah, if you take, you're opening up your king. You know, believe it or not, this pawn could be the last line of defense for you. Yeah, this is where things get a little scary. Wait. About this. Or what about this? Yeah, f3 is not a good move here. It's a mistake. Yeah, that's mate. So hopefully, you know, Jesse will, you know, rebound for next game. Hats off to Anna for hanging in there with that, you know, not so pleasant king. All right, all right. So back to reserve. Yeah, looks like. Wait, what happened here? I'm really curious to see what happened in this game. Let's see what happened. Yeah, it looks like. Oh, yeah, Highland, you gotta take with this pawn. If you take with this pawn, it's game over. Because taking with this pawn, you're allowing this pawn to go to the other side. Yeah. If you take here, black is in Zugzwang. And, you know, if they move this pawn, then we get captured right here. If they move their, no matter where they move their king, you're going to pick off this pawn, and now this pawn will be a pass pawn. So yeah, endgames are so tough. There was a grandmaster that once told me the biggest difference between somebody who is 1,000 and somebody who is 1,500, or somebody who's 1,500 and someone that's 2,000 is endgame knowledge. So I think you played a very good game against August. This was a very hard fought game, but make sure maybe you start looking at more endgame study, and I think that would really help you out a lot. So I know you must be pretty disappointed right now, but you should be very proud of how you played, and I know that you'll learn from this game and do better next time. All right. So we have one game left in our Swiss. All right, looks like on board 3, Alex was able to win. All right. All right. See how primary is doing. All right, looks like Jacob's got a rook advantage on board 1. All right. Looks like Max had a nice win on board 5. Looks like Alex and McAllister are in a nice battle here. All right. Looks like Rex and Ethan. Yeah, nice win. King safety. Yeah, I'm seeing, quite a few, back rank checkmates in this tournament, or kings that are uncastled. So you want to make sure that your king is safe. Safe king is a happy king. All right. Looks like reserve is all finished. And it looks like the next round will begin at 12:46 Eastern. So for all those reserve players, you have a few minutes to rest, regroup, and prepare for your next game. All right, so let's go back to the Hunter versus Connor game. Yeah, it looks like Connor has a potentially dangerous pass pawn. Let's see what Hunter does about that. But again, time might start to become a factor. Connor only has 2 minutes remaining. Hunter has 25. All right. All right, looks like Swiss section is done. Looks like Anderson ran out of time. Well, I'm glad he was taking his time. That's a good thing. Curious to see. Looks like we're going to have think Audrey versus Antonio in the last round. See who comes out victorious. All right. Reserve isn't starting. All right, let's go back to Connor versus Hunter. Looks like they're deep thought. So it looks like it's Connor's move. Interesting. All right, so it looks like Connor responded with Queen F6. See what Hunter does here. Yeah, looks like there's some kind of peace sacrifice. Hmm. Wow, after all is said and done, looks like not sure what really happened there, but looks like Hunter just has an extra piece in the end game. So it looks like Hunter, barring anything major, should win this game. All right, I'm gonna go to the Swiss. All right. All right. Looks like White made their first move. Okay. Got that showdown between Antonio and Audrey. All right. Looks like on board one, looks like Antonio was victorious. So for next tournament, he'll be playing in primary. So congratulations to Antonio for your victory. You went 3-0 today? All right. We have a battle between Kaden and Alex. Yeah, I would definitely recommend, Caden, you don't want to move your rook out like that. You want to castle your king. Because once you move your rook, you give up your right to castle. All right, let's go to reserve, see how they're doing. There we got one game completed. So one thing I am noticing here, both sides are above 20 minutes. I mean, that means, if you started with 20 minutes, this means that you were just rushing through your moves. I mean, there's no reason for you to have more time than when you started the game. So I hope these players, they slow down. All right, board 11. Looks like Hudson has choice to make. Should he trade queens or not? Wonder what he does. Let's go to board 5. Looks like McCallan just traded. Very close position. All right. All right. Looks like still hanging in there. Oh, this game got very interesting very fast. All right, board 2. Looks like there's some new life here for Connor. So it is a knight pawn, so things could be tricky for him. And I'm always so fascinated by these end games. All right, nicely done, Hunter. Curious what happened at the end right there. Wonder if there's anything Connor could have done. Yeah, I think this was all forced. Yeah, so if this pawn was on a different color, if it was on a different square, if it was a bishop pawn, it actually would have been a draw. So because it was a knight pawn, it ended up being a win for white. I wonder, something like this. No, no, I think this is still a win for white, but at least it gives them chances, and this king is further away. Nicely done, Hunter. Still got a couple games in the Swiss. All right. Yes. Yeah, looks like on board 8, looks like Highland's rook is pretty active, but Haley is up a knight. I wonder how that game will end up. Any advice to both players, it would be to activate your pieces. All right, got board 1 battle between Kieran and Jacob. Looks pretty solid, but again, I want to stress, take your time. Uh-oh, looks like we had a brother battle right here. Max versus Alex. Looks like there was a scholar's mate type position. Yeah, so Max, just know that this strategy, it won't continue to work as you play against higher rated players. So it might work right now, but once you move to a different level, um, people know how to stop the 4-move checkmate. So be careful. Yeah, it looks like Leo was able to get his queen to G2 using the bishop and queen battery. So nicely done, Leo. All right. Looks like Future Masters is done. So round 3 should probably be started, or is probably starting. Yeah, starting at 1:05. So sit tight, everyone. Round 3 is among us. All right. Sit here for a little bit. Looks like we have players taking their time. Curious to see the pairings for round 3. All right. I think Jesse got the bye. All right, we have a showdown between Hunter and Jordy. All right, King's Gambit. I love it. All right. Looks like we got King's Gambit accepted, Knight of 3 variation. Yeah, the goal of a gambit is you give up something really small, like a pawn, and in exchange, you get all your pieces in place and attack. So a lead in development is only as good as your opponent's inability to develop. So what I always, tell my students is don't want to let my opponent castle. Because once they castle, they've recovered. Looks like, does the 4 trick work here? Hunter may have an interesting response here. Not sure if that works, but it's an interesting try. And kudos to, Jordy for recognizing the pattern. Curious to see how Hunter responds here. So the fork trick is, you sacrifice a minor piece temporarily for a pawn. You take back, and then you move. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Bishop f7. So if Hunter had taken the knight, Jordy would have played pawn d5. Forking the bishop and the knight. So he would have had. Oh, I don't know. I might have gone knight check here. I was looking at knight knight e5 check. I was thinking, yeah, because now, yeah, by moving knight c6, you can't do that check anymore. I think Hunter, slow down. Guys, you're playing too fast. Jordy, slow down. Remember, we're not playing blitz here. You have 40 minutes. All right. Looks like on board 2, got Connor versus Dev. Should be an interesting game. And then we have Abbott versus Anna. Got a pretty strong group today. All right, reserve. See what happened here. All right, looks like yeah, we have Eric with his victory on board 1 pretty convincingly. So if I had to guess, I think Sean and Eric are going to play next round. All right. All right, see how Mateo's doing. Then I'm looking at board 11. I see very few chess pieces on the board. Yeah, nicely done, Hudson. You got that fork. See if Roland, how he reacts and responds to that move. Got very few chess pieces on the board. Bishop and a pawn versus a knight and 2 pawns. Got check. Yeah, I'm not sure how productive that check was. Yeah, because now Roland just gets that pawn. I would have pushed the pawn. And now, yeah, because if he had pushed the pawn, the bishop would have been protecting it. All right, guys, slow down. No need to play so fast. I mean, it's an end game. Yeah, I don't think, yeah, Hudson can't stop that pawn. That's why, slow down. Yeah, I think Hudson should have activated his king, maybe tried to go towards the other pawn. You know, kind of try to, you know, he has the bishop. Bishop is stronger in open positions, can cover more space. That's okay. You know, treat this as, you know, a learning experience. I know a lot of players are doing the state championships next weekend. So, I mean, if you don't get the result you want, that's totally okay. Just look at your games and see, you know, what you can do next time to improve. You know, what lessons can you learn from these games and how do you apply them to games in the future? All right, board 7. We have a nice battle between Arush and Atman. No telling what's going to happen in this game. All right, looks like Atman got his knight to a nice square. Oh, wow, what a change of events on board 5. I think the last time I looked, McCallum was down a queen. Let's see what happened in that game. Really curious to see what happened. All right, so McCallum is white. Yeah, looks like, you know, his king doesn't look so happy. Yeah, I think maybe trying to get this rook in the game. I mean, white does have that open king, and I guess they could get the perpetual if they'd like. You know, they can always just, you know, check this king back and forth as much as they'd like, and they would have a draw. But, you know, I can't fault him for wanting to go for the win. Here. Ah, okay. We put here. Yeah, the old rook lift. Okay. Ah, so that's how he lost his queen. Yeah, the queen was the king's last line of defense. So now you have this pin right here. What he took. Ah, okay, took here. Yeah, and it looks like, you know, it's not looking so good for white here. But you know what? I got to give, you know, props to them for, you know, hanging in there. Right. All right. Yeah, you want to use your pieces. Just because you have an advantage doesn't mean the game is over. So check. Yeah, so if McCallum had gone here, move this king back. This is devastating right here. All right, so he blocked. Okay, so this is what I saw. I saw the position, and I saw that Evan had the queen. Yeah, ugh, knights are so tricky. Yeah, I've been knight forked more times than I care to admit. So I think, yeah, maybe you have to go like something like this. It's not pretty, but it saves this pawn right here. Yeah, chess. Chess is hard. And, take this as a lesson and see, what you can do better next time. All right. Ooh, what is going on here? There's a lot of attacks. I can't process everything at once. So much going on. All right, looks like there was an exchanging of pieces. Interesting choice. Definitely a battle. Now I think, yeah, I was looking at that knight move. Knight has a nice square. It's kind of holding that queen hostage to a square. Yeah, I think Hunter, you need to figure out, how to activate all your pieces. So we got Connor versus Dev. Interesting game here. Looks like Connor is doing an F-file pawn kind of attack. And then with, I've noticed Anna likes those flank pawns. I've noticed in 2 games of hers, she likes to push those flank pawns. So let's see how it works out against Abbott today. All right, so again, see what happened in the Swiss. We still have one more game left between Alex and Caden. All right, looks like Aiden got his first win. So congratulations, Aiden. All right. All right, looks like ooh, Jacob's king is wide open. Let's see if Kieran could take advantage of that. Well, Kieran's king is also kind of open. So let's see if they could figure out the correct plan here. Definitely very dangerous to live with open kings. You're living on the edge here, guys. All right, let's go back to reserve. There's a lot going on these boards here. It's like Ottman. Look on F7. And then Highland and Haley have a pretty interesting endgame. So I've noticed, if I remember correctly, Highland has had 3 endgames. If I remember correctly. So yeah, Highland, definitely, if you're getting into these endgames, if you started studying a lot more endgames, I think your chess game will improve exponentially. Yeah, there's a lot going on board 3 also. Looks like August is trying to hold on for dear life. All right, so we're gonna stop the stream here. So I'm really excited to see, how board 1 plays out. There's a lot of really interesting games that were being played today. So kudos to everyone. Again, if you had a tough tournament, take this as a learning experience. Take it as, okay, I lost a few games, but it's not the end of the world. What can I do to improve for next time? What lessons am I taking away from my games that I can apply next time? Or if you saw your opponent did something really cool, maybe you could use that tactic or that strategy in one of your own games. So, anyways, it was a pleasure to stream to you guys today. And if you're playing at States next weekend, good luck. And we'll see you at our next tournament on March 21st. Bye, everyone.